Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen here. I'm going to just run through how to work out your daily calorie targets. And one of the easiest ways you can do this is using a website here called calculator.net, and then there's a calorie calculator on there. All right, and the really good thing about this is it's free. It's really easy to use. So I'll step you through an example, using myself as an example, just to show you how you would do this. So obviously you're going to ask, it's going to ask your age. My age in there, and then my height in centimeters, 182, and then my current weight, I think, is 96. I have to check what the average is for this week. So then what we need to do is, obviously these need to be accurate readings, male or female. It's important that these things are put in correctly, so make sure your height is correct and your weight is actually correct for that particular day. The exercise then is important. We choose the right activity levels, because depending on how active you are will dictate how many calories you need to consume per day, for example, just to stay the same weight. So the first thing I'd say here, if you look at this list here where it says exercise, is seen as 15 to 30 minutes of elevated heart rate activity, okay? Intense exercise is 45 to 120 minutes of elevated heart rate activity, and very intense exercise is 2+ hours of elevated heart rate activity, okay? So you can see the differences between those. So for myself, for me, as an example, I would put in here somewhere between active or very active. Active is daily exercise or intense exercise 3 to 4 times per week. And that makes sense to me because the intense exercise, 45 to 120 minutes, my sessions do tend to be between 45 minutes and an hour. And I do tend to kind of have higher elevated heart rate activity going on there. And I think that's right for me. For yourself, it might be a little bit more moderate. You know, it might be 1 to 3 times a week exercise, or light or moderate exercise 1 to 3 or 4 to 5 times a week. Just make sure you pick something that's realistic, okay? So just to show you in my case, I'm going to pick the active option, and I'm going to click calculate, and then it gives me some numbers. So what it'll tell me is to maintain my weight, I could consume just under 3,000 calories per day, and I'll stay the same weight. Mild weight loss, so 1/4 kilo, I can bring my calorie intake down to 2,600 or nearly 2,700. For kind of good weight loss, you've got 2,400 calories as a target, and then for extreme weight loss, it's a kilo a week. That's 1,900 calories per day. So extreme weight loss is quite hard. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for many people unless you can really commit to it, or if you've got a lot of weight to lose, maybe that's a consideration that you might go a bit more aggressive on your calorie targets. So what we do is we pick a number here that's realistic considering your work and family and life balance, everything that's going on. And then you take that number and you can divide it up by the number of meals that you're going to have per day. Some really good examples here that can show you how you can divide your calories up across the week. So the zigzag options, you can go a little bit lower, a little bit higher on some days. You could start lower, go up higher, as the week goes on, drop it back down as the week goes on again. So that gives you some good examples of how you might do that. But just from a purely perspective of working out your calorie targets, that's how you would do it. That'll give you your daily targets, and that's a really good starting point to get an understanding. The next step really is then to track your intake, and we would do that in something like MyFitnessPal, and that's something that I could cover in a different video. So I hope that helps, and if any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.